what is most important for you? Performance, comfort, economy, etc., rank them.
Okay.
Within a month's time, the sales of the most expensive cars, the SUVs, doubled.
Oh, wow.
And you are creating barriers in front of them, preventing them from buying.
Yeah. So let's talk about, some of the sales strategies, when you go to all these businesses and you help them scale up their sales, what are some of the strategies you suggest, based on the state or based on the industry they are? What do you think are some common strategies?
I think it'll work better if I give you an example.
Yeah, please.
I was working with someone who runs a couple of car showrooms in New Delhi. Particular brand. I will not take the name for their privacy. And doing very well. The car sales were going up. Everything was doing well. And but there was always chaos in the operations. And this person is a very bright, intelligent person. And he said that I understand that this problem is not just my showroom's problem. It's the same problem across most showrooms, car showrooms I know. Can you come in and see what can we do in the entire selling process such that sales go up, customers are happier, and operations is streamlined? I went in as a customer to a couple of showrooms to understand what's really going on. And I started to get insights about what's really happening here. So let me ask you, when was the last time you considered buying a car or you went to a showroom to buy a car?
Almost a year back.
Almost a year back.
Yeah.
Do you remember your experience a little?
Yeah.
So when you walked into the showroom, a particular, you can tell me about which showroom, etc. as well. What happened after that?
So when I walked in, I think, they asked some qualifying questions, which I understand. And then immediately focused me to, next step, which is like test drive. The next step immediately was like test drive. And immediately after the test drive, it was all about when are you buying it?
Okay.
So that's how the whole experience. And what I felt most difficult part in the whole journey, once I said, okay, I'll consider it, I'll talk to about it. I got follow-up calls for the next 10 days. That was the toughest part.
And did you, in the process, also ask them to tell me something about this car? And what did you hear back from them when you asked them this question?
Mostly, I remember it was a pushy approach. Most things were trying to cover up and just show in the good light.
Sure. So I'll tell you what I noticed as an experience, and I'll factor this in as well.
Okay.
That when you walk into a car showroom and you ask the person, other than the qualifying questions, when are you going to buy, etc., you ask you, tell me something about this car, because you are trying to make up your mind about which car will suit me. And even for that particular car, there'll be 10 different variants available. Okay. The moment you ask this question to the salesperson, they will regurgitate their memory, and start telling you this feature, this year, and they will, just literally, vomit that entire information on you.
That's the first thing that happens.
Right. So this is, in a car showroom, the walkthrough over the car. In a software demo, the demo. Once the customer hits the demo, then you will throw all the features that you have, and for the next 45 minutes, the customer will be like, what's really going on? Okay. And you really think that the customer is understanding, but the customer is like, okay, I am listening to all of this. When will he shut up? He's still not making me make a better decision. I cannot look stupid by admitting कि मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा. Now look at this interaction. Customer is like, I don't know what I want to buy, but I don't want to show it to him that I don't know what I want to buy.
Totally.
What is the salesperson doing? I have no idea how to sell to him. He should not feel that I don't know about this car. And I have got this customer lead. I have to convert because I need to meet my target. What we did was, for this showroom, for this company, we reinvented this entire process.
Okay.
We said, let's start with this assumption that the customer doesn't know and we also don't know. We have said that the customer doesn't know that what is important for them to buy in the car. Some of them will, but most people don't know. So we asked them a few questions, not to qualify them. And these were scripted questions, printed questions in a sheet. Okay. And that sheet is where you sit with the customer like we are sitting. We keep the sheet in between us, nothing hidden. Say, okay, let's fill this sheet up to help you arrive at what car would be the most ideal for you. Okay. And one of the first few questions in that is, are you buying the car because, okay. So the moment they ranked them, because of forced ranking, it started bringing clarity in their mind. Okay, actually for me, performance is more important than comfort. Because when you're buying a car, it is always going to be a compromise.
Yeah.
Because the ideal car that you want to buy will always be double the cost of what your budget is. So you would rather compromise on what's not important for you versus what's important for you. So that's the first question, and we ask them a series of questions which help the customer design and define. Okay, this is the criteria which is more important for me to choose a car. Okay, and then we would have the whole list of variants of the variants which are available, and what features are there starting from which variant. Okay. So they don't have to struggle through the car brochure, try to test the salesperson's knowledge to understand which is relevant. And as they would mark that sheet, within 5 minutes, they would be 100% clear that which variant is the most relevant variant for them. Whether this car particularly meets their need or not. And on the flip side of it, was a complete comparison with the other choices of the competition cars which they would have in mind, with both the pros and cons, not just the cons.
Okay.
What's good about the other car, what's bad about that car, and why this car will make more sense for them or not. Okay. So it was a complete selling process designed in that sheet, which the customer and the selling agent were able to fill in 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
That interaction finished. That 2 hours, 3 hours, days of process finished in 10 minutes. And this process, even their absolutely new hired salespeople were able to do it as effectively as the most competent and old salespeople. After doing this, within a month's time, the sales of the most expensive cars, the SUVs, doubled.
Oh, wow.
Never in their history had they seen this kind of a result. Okay. So it just changed the game on how you sell, how you buy, what is selling in the first place. So the definition of selling changes from pushing your numbers to helping the customer buy what is the most important one for them and persuading them to pick your product as the right choice for that.
Interesting. I am really intrigued with this whole, and as you defined initially, this is like a sales engineering, really engineered the whole sales process. But specifically this case that you spoke about, what really changed? I'm like enjoying the whole process, but what do you think really changed in the whole journey?
Was that you're actually helping the buyer. Instead of fooling the buyer, instead of manipulating the buyer, instead of somehow holding on to the buyer, the game is now about helping the buyer. See, what we forget about when we get into sales is that there is a buyer. Why is that person there? Because that person wants to buy. And you are creating barriers in front of them, preventing them from buying.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever bought a car when they don't need a car.
Totally. I've been fundamentally believing on a lot of these things ourselves as well, that this is so important to have a sales team which work like a customer service team, which focus on customers' happiness, etc. I think the biggest change is changing the habits.
Yes.
How do you really are able to crack that part, changing the habit of the sales organization, which you at least are an outsider?
Right. See, first of all, I don't need to change their habits at all.
Okay.
By and large.
Okay.
The biggest relief is first of all felt by the sales team.
Acha, that's interesting.
Because they already know the truth. Now, get into the life of a salesperson. You have a fixed salary and then you have huge incentives. As you start earning those incentives, you and your family gets used to that this is the income that is coming in. Some months that income comes in, some months that income doesn't come in, because depending on whether you hit your target or not.
Yeah.
Now, once you've gotten used to a certain level of salary or an income which is coming in, the next month when it doesn't come, it will create tension in your house, it will create tension in your environment because your expenses have gone up as per that. Now, that puts them into a loop where that they somehow have to meet the targets every time. And there's tremendous amount of pressure. And the reality is that they know that they will not be able to meet it. Okay.
Totally.
And at some point of time, when you address this and say, okay, let's stop this game, which we both know is not going to work, they have a sigh of relief. Huge relief. Except for maybe perhaps the top salesperson who's used to working on his own, who is on his or her own, and they have old relationships, they have old customers where they can get a business from. They're like, I want to work alone. I don't want to do any of this change. Leave me be. Okay. And we have ways and we say, okay, fine. You want to be left alone. You want to earn. We will create a role for you in such a way that you're left alone doing what you actually enjoy. And 90% of times we're able to manage that.